folks, it's Cindy here at Prep Your Stead. Sorry for the weird camera angle, but I'm going to show you something that's really cool. It's really easy to do, and it's much less expensive than going out and buying a compound bow. It fits into a bug out bag perfectly. So I am going to show you how to turn your wrist rocket into a weapon that will fire a traditional arrow. So let's get started. It's going to be a long video. My allergies are really acting up today, so I apologize in advance. I'm going to tell you guys what I have here to get the project going, and then we'll get into it. One of the first things we have, of course, is the wrist rocket. I got this one at Wally World for approximately 15 bucks. You can buy spare bands, which I recommend because the latex in the band actually degrades with sunlight and time. I have a bag of golf tees. We're only going to need one, but you end up with the whole bag. And if you're going to do more than one arrow, you're going to need plenty. So I recommend getting just the entire bag, not just stealing one from somebody's golf bag or something. I have some Gorilla Glue epoxy, scissors. I have two types of zip ties here. One is because I'm going to tell you don't use this kind. They don't last. They snap. Get these little ones that are thicker. They're more for like an engine than the ones that are for like holding cords in your house. So we don't use those. We use the nice strong ones. You're going to need a pair of pliers. It doesn't matter what kind. And then you are also going to need a ruler, a marker to mark some stuff, and then you're going to need a Whisker Biscuit for a regular bow and arrow. Yes, it's called a Whisker Biscuit. Ladies, please don't get offended. I know some think that that's a bad term, but it is actually called a Whisker Biscuit, and it traditionally goes onto the bow to help the arrow shoot straighter and with more ease. So get a Whisker Biscuit. They're about $25, $30 for a low-cost one. So it's not the cheapest part of your build, but it's well worth it, and it's going to be the only way that this works. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to deal with the arrow to get it out of the way and to get the whole process started with drying. So I'm going to go ahead and get this out of the way for the moment. And we're going to open up the epoxy. There we go. And we're going to mix up a little bit of this epoxy in the container. Stop flowing. And then I'm going to throw the cap on it, because obviously we're going to want to use it again at some point. So I'm going to mix that up good. Now I'm only going to do one arrow because I actually have other arrows already set up for this. I had another wrist rocket, however, children happen, and sons like toys. So mine disappeared. Now on the end of the arrow you have where the bowstring goes in. So we are going to pull that out. And then we're just going to take and put some of this epoxy onto there. And we are going to probably put a little bit at the top as well. And then we're going to jam that in there, and we're going to set it aside to dry. Now I will do another video later to show you how it works when it's all done, but basically this will be your grabbing point for pulling the launching mechanism back. So we're going to set that aside to dry. I'm going to get these out of the way, and that. Get all this stuff out of the way, we can work better, right? So then the next thing we're going to do if we can. I may just cut it and then slice it off, because that's easier. Why they have to make these so hard to put on there is beyond me. Before I stab myself. Now this video is probably going to be long because it is a struggle to get some of this stuff done. I think the last one took me over an hour to make, so I'm hoping this one's a little bit faster because I've done it before. Just got to get past that lump. There we go. One. Ah, darn it. One more, at least. There we go. So we take that off of there. Now, I need to know how much I cut off of this. And actually, it's 2 inches long, which is exactly what I need to cut off it anyways. So I will trim up the ends. You're going to take 2 inches off of each end of your band. And then I'm just going to trim it so that it's nice and straight. And then the fun part of trying to get it back on there, which I'm hoping you understood that was sarcasm. There's got to be an easier way to do this. I think this is what took so long last time. Get them started so I don't snag it. Oh, come on. There we go. Oh, man. Now, this is actually a really good weapon for small game. My son has used it to take out rabbits in the front yard, and we've used it to chase off other creatures that we miss, because it's going to take you some practice to get this done, to be able to get proficient with it. So getting a bale of hay out in the yard is a good idea, or whatever it is that you use as a target backstop. Oh, come on. This was easier when my hands didn't hurt so much. But it'll get done. Alright, well, I'm going to put these on later, but you get the idea. Put that on there. And then when I do the follow-up on it, you'll be able to see that it's on there. Now the Whisker Biscuit, it's got a slot in it so that you can drop the arrow into it. And it guides through, and the feathers actually go through the hairs of the Whisker Biscuit. So it helps your arrow fly better, and it also keeps you on target. It doesn't matter if some of these get bent or folded. But what we're going to do, I put mine up because it's the easiest way to get it in there in a hurry, because you want to be able to use this in a hurry. Yes, I used my teeth. Don't tell my mom. Don't snug it up too tight until you get the other one on, because you're going to want to make sure that you try and get it as centered as possible. At least since it's already on there, I can pull it this time and not have the hand of a parent smack me at the back of the head from distance. You want to try and get it as close to the base so that it's in that bend of the arm as possible. I'm fighting the Whisker Biscuit. And we're going to center it as best as we can, because the more centered the center of the Whisker Biscuit is, the more straight your arrow is going to fly. Now, it doesn't matter that these hairs in the Whisker Biscuit are now compressed, because the main part of this is actually just to hold it in there so that it balances the arrow while you're firing it. So there's actually not going to be any pressure put onto the Whisker Biscuit other than the weight of the arrow. But you're going to snug these down real good. And trim off the excess, obviously. So then, excuse me, what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and get these on. But what you have effectively done, once it's on all the way, of course, is you can then take your arrow and grab it, and you have a way to fire your arrow with your wrist rocket, which is incredibly amazing and very portable, very easy to hide. They can see that you have arrows, but if you don't have a bow hanging off there, they're just going to think you got arrows. So having a weapon that nobody knows about and doesn't understand is a good thing for your bug out bag. And I will come back when everything is pushed on and dry, because it's going to take probably a good 6 or 8 hours for this to dry adequately to be able to fire it. And I will show you how it works. And I will see y'all later. Thank you. Have a great day.